What's going on, guys? Welcome to anybody who's sliding in. I'll give it a few seconds. Today we're going to go over basically the news. We're going to cover most of the current events that you've seen unfolding in both the alternative media and the mainstream media. So as soon as we get a couple people in here, we'll start it up. All right. See a couple of folks. How y'all doing? How's everybody doing? My first comment on my last stream was that I looked half dead. I hope I improved that a little bit, but we're still in the process of getting this thing up and running. Hello, Mitchell Black, Nick Sweeney, and hey, Steph, what's good? So, like I said, we're going to do some basic news tonight. Just cover all the things that we've already seen, but with a little bit of a twist. First thing I told you guys about is this new UFO disclosure that is, I guess I would say, supposedly happening right now. And I didn't want to put a lot of energy into it because at first glance, I just think it's absolute distraction. The name of the website is The Black Vault. You can go there yourself and you can download the raw files. I did this. I downloaded the PDFs, which he puts in separate files, which is extremely annoying because you really want to put them all together and search that, which I did, and I put that in a mega folder, and I will put that in a pinned comment below once we're all done with this. But I looked at just a couple of these disclosures, and I wanted to show you. So this is what they look like, and let me get there. And I just went through a couple. This one is a report about the Russian president at the time, President Yeltsin, visiting a joint strike fighter base they called Avistar, and he is shown a flying apparatus known as a thermoplane. Now, I had never heard of a thermoplane before, to be honest with you, and I thought that was strange. The other one I pulled out was this sighting by a senator, 4 October 1955, and it's from a train in two places that, to me, they look like they could have been Russian towns. So I just pulled those two out. The first one, this is the thermoplane, or thermoplan. So this is not any kind of disclosure. We've known about it since the 90s. And I guess it was also a good time to mention that all of the documents that have been disclosed all have 2010 on them. Whoa, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. So that's what it looks like. It's actually some kind of dirigible or blimp where they were thinking it was going to be the future of flying. Not much of a disclosure. On top of that, I was actually able to find the actual YouTube video of Yeltsin at that plant looking at that aircraft. Right here it is. There's Yeltsin. And there's the craft right there. Those do look like UFO crafts, I have to say. But, so that's the kind of disclosure we're getting in this. The other one I was able to find by searching the date, Senator Russell sees UFO. And this was basically October 4, 1955. They were on a train in basically the outskirts of Russia, and they had a UFO sighting, and it was reported to the CIA. So all of this stuff is already open source information. It's nothing new, so I don't know how we're calling it a disclosure or why it's coming back around. But it is. I just wanted to look at those two things just basically to tell you guys, in my opinion, it's an ignore. But I will pin a mega folder that I made that put all the PDFs together so that it's searchable and you'll be able to look for any hotkeys or words that you want to look for. I'll pin that in the comment below. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Steph, they look like UFOs, but isn't it funny that the disclosures that they choose to do are the type of disclosures that would make it, you would look at that and you're like, oh, well, that explains UFOs. It looks just like UFOs. You know what I mean? It's a little bit weird that it just happens to be like that. But it's just all old news. On the declassification documents, you're right, Ben B, it says 2010. So screams, it just, to me, it screams distraction. All right. The next thing I was looking into was the Nashville bombing, because we haven't heard anything about the Nashville bombing, and it's kind of strange how quiet it's been. I actually went out in search of just one simple thing, and that was what was the fuel being used in the bomb. And 3 weeks into this investigation, they still can't say what was the accelerant, what was the fuel that was used to cause the bomb. There's a whole lot of speculation, and there's a whole lot of people saying that they think that they know, but they're not attached to the investigation because they're retired, the whole 9 yards. But 3 weeks into the investigation, and they haven't even released what kind of bomb this was that was in the RV. I find that very bizarre. But while I was looking into that, yeah, you're right, Nick, for sure. And it seems like they are doing a lot more prep work for the disclosure of the UFOs than they have been in the past. It seems like they're really ramping it up. It's kind of like a ship. You got to steer it before you get to the point where you want to go. So they're already turning the wheel on that one. So when I was looking into this Nashville bombing, one thing, I got sidetracked because I was on this DNI.gov release about VBIDs, about vehicle-borne improvised explosive devices, because they're giving out like this warning, like about how to prepare and how to keep safe from them. But as I read down, and let me expand this a little bit. As I read down here, it kind of switches the narrative, and it says that what they're really talking about here is, since May 2020, there have been over a dozen malicious or intentional vehicle rammings carried out during protests and riots in the United States. And it cites 3 separate rammings. September 2020, a woman rammed a vehicle into a gathering of protesters and counter-protesters on a 6-lane highway in Yorba Linda, California, injuring 2. The attack may have been motivated by political ideology. Okay, they don't say which political ideology. July 2020, a woman drove a car through a police barricade in Seattle. And then February 2020, a man drove through a tent targeting a group of political campaign volunteers. None of the types of politics are addressed in this DNI disclosure, right? So I figured I'd go looking for the dates and found some very interesting news reports on that. After a prolonged confrontation between BLM and pro-Trump demonstrators outside Los Angeles turned violent Saturday as someone drove a car through the pro-Trump group. Interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Next. This one is vehicle attacks rise as extremists target protesters. Now, it can't be that vehicle attacks are on the rise because there's, I don't know, thousands and thousands of more people in the road protesting. I don't know. But that's just how it seems to me. The funny thing about this one, editor's note, the main part of the story was about this guy who supposedly rammed these 2 protesters. And it says a previous version of this story included a photo of a protester being struck by a car in Louisville, Kentucky. The photo, chosen by editors, does not appear to be an example of the assaults described in the story and has been replaced. Police have not charged the driver, but have charged 2 of the protesters involved in the incident. Then right after that, it still says, right-wing extremists are turning cars into weapons, with reports of at least 50 vehicle ramming incidents since the protest against police of violence erupted in May. Still not going to keep it out of there. And then the last one was the one in Jacksonville, Florida. And what a surprise to me. I find out the same old stuff, the same old news, same old vehicle rammings. But of course, it's going to be attributed in the DNI report as not mentioning which side of the political ideology is doing these car rammings. And it doesn't really explain to me why NPR's narrative is that it's the right. Aha, the next thing we're going to talk about. Project Veritas, they got Jack Dorsey good, man. And I'm going to tell you why after we listen to it, but let's listen to it.
You should always feel free to express yourself in whatever format, manifestation feels right. We do intend to do a full retro, as I said in my note. It is going to take some time. And then the other thing, just to close out a little bit, we are focused on one account right now, but this is going to be much bigger than just one account, and it's going to go on for much longer than just this day, this week.
It's going to be much bigger than just this one account. I wonder who he's talking about. And it's going to go on for a long time. Well, it already started before Trump.
The next few weeks, it's going to go on beyond the inauguration. We have to expect that. We have to be ready for that. So the focus is certainly on this account and how it ties to real-world violence. But also, we need to think much longer term around how these dynamics play out over time. I don't believe this is going away anytime soon, and the moves that we're making today around QAnon, for instance, is one such example of a much broader approach that we should be looking at and going deeper on. So the team has a lot of work and a lot of focus on this particular issue, but we also need to give them the space and the support to focus on the much bigger picture. Because it is not going away. The U.S. is extremely divided. Our platform is showing that every single day, and our role is to protect the integrity.
You're creating the division
of that conversation and do what we can to make sure that no one is being harmed based off that. And that is the focus, and that is the color we want to provide.
There you have it, Jack Dorsey.
Talk about newspeak, because you could tell, even though he's on a conference call with like-minded individuals, he is being extremely cautious in the way that he's phrasing things. And, you know, we'll take Trump and conservatives and everything and put all that aside, and let's not make any accusations in regard to that, right? But what this video shows is that he's violating Section 230. This is him being a publisher. He's choosing what he will and will not allow on the platform. It's a blatant violation of 230. I have no idea where that's ever going to go, but that's definitely what Veritas showed in their video today. All right. So the next thing on the list is Trump dropped a 1-2 on, I guess, what people will call the deep state, or whoever you want to refer to them today. And the 1-2 is that they're saying they're going to release all the Russiagate documents. Better late than never. But not only that, that's the thing that caught most people's attention. But not only that, he updated this executive order today. The text of a letter to the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the President of the Senate. I'm going to read this whole thing to you guys because it's important, and I hope that you can track with what is actually being said underlined here as he's talking about this executive order. The executive order that was from a while ago but was updated today and mailed to Nancy Pelosi. Hey Chris, hey Kathleen, hi everybody. Pursuant to the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the National Emergencies Act, and Section 301 of Title III United States Code, I hereby report that I have issued an executive order taking further steps to deal with the threat posed by the People's Republic of China's PRC increasing exploitation of the United States capital to resource and to enable the development and modernization of its military intelligence and other security apparatuses, which continue to allow the PRC to directly threaten the United States homeland and the United States forces overseas, including by developing and deploying weapons of mass destruction, advanced conventional weapons, and malicious cyber-enabled actions against the United States and its people. Okay. Through the national strategy of military-civilian fusion, and that's clutch right there. The PRC increases the size of the country's military-industrial complex by compelling civilian Chinese companies to support its military and intelligence services. Those companies, though remaining ostensibly private and civilian, direct support to the PRC's military intelligence and security apparatuses and aid in their development and modernization. At the time, they raise capital by selling securities to the United States Investors Index. Okay, let me read that again, sorry. At the same time, they raise capital by selling securities to United States investors that trade on public exchanges both here and abroad, lobbying United States index providers and funds to include these securities in market offerings and engaging in other acts to ensure access to United States capital. In that way, the PRC exploits United States investors to finance the development and modernization of its military. That is also the same way that it washes its dirty money that it hands out to other politicians. To deal with that threat, I signed Executive Order 13959 on November 12, 2020. It prohibits certain purchases involving publicly traded securities and any securities that are derivative of or designed to provide investment exposure to such securities of any communist Chinese military company. Those companies are ones the Department of Defense has listed or will list pursuant to Section 1237 as amended, or are identified as communist Chinese military companies or their subsidiaries by the Secretary of the Treasury using similar criteria. So strictly the Secretary of the Treasury can call these companies Chinese companies and bar any investments in them by politicians. But this is the important part that he sent to Pelosi today. Today, I signed an executive order amending Executive Order 13959. The amendments prohibit certain sales as well as purchases of publicly traded securities or any securities that are derivative of or designed to provide investment exposures to such securities of any communist Chinese military company. They also prohibit the possession of such securities by the United States persons 1 year after a company is determined to be a communist Chinese military company. So everybody has 1 year as to the day of their notification. And so many American United States politicians are invested in exactly these kinds of companies that ostensibly are upstanding companies, but in reality are just taking blood, treasure, data, everything from the United States and converting it into the Chinese military complex. So he says they also prohibit the possession after 1 year. And finally, they allow the Secretary of Defense publicly to list whether a company is a communist Chinese military company by using the criteria in Section 1237. So now the Secretary of Defense can also call out what companies that these are. And this is going to really take a lot of money out of a lot of politicians' pockets if this stands. And I think it's an interesting way for him to go at them. And he dropped this executive order, and he dropped the news that he's bringing out everything about Russiagate on the same day. So that's pretty interesting. The next thing I'm going to go on to, you guys, is the Capitol. And I made a separate episode about the Capitol, and I'm probably still going to release it. But there's been a few things that I think are pretty important that I just want to go over in this. And I'm sure you've heard a lot of it before, but there's some of it you haven't heard yet. First of all, there is this video that went circling around the internet. And it was of a supposed admitting to the horrible things he had done, faking being MAGA and going to the Capitol building. I want to play this video for you.
Look,
I want to.
Look, I just left the protest at the Capitol building, and I got a big bruise on my leg. I had a difficult time pulling off the act that I was paid to do. And I'm making this video because I want to confess that I was paid to pretend to protest today. I can't say by who, but I will just say that it's a organized effort.
And this is why I'm always telling everybody you got to be extremely careful before you bite into something, before you share it, before you move on with it. Just do a half a second of research, because they do this to make patriots look dumb. That's the intention. And in all honesty, if you're sharing something without looking into it, then they're just making you look how you are. But I know we hate fact-checking sites, right? But I went to a fact-checking site to see, was this guy legit? And he's not. And in the Reuters fact check, they list a YouTube video that absolves him of all responsibility for the things that he claimed being Antifa. And this is his response video saying that he is not Antifa and it was just a practical joke. Listen to this.
Well, I didn't mean to cause no confusion, so let me explain myself. Yeah. You guys are so mad at me. You are so mad. And you're silly billies if you think you're not mad. And you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh. Because this is one misunderstanding that I can just tell you right now. Okay. All right. The video that I posted about Antifa. So this is what happened. It's so silly. I am Antifa, but it's not what you think. I am the owner, founder, and sole proprietor of anti-farting organization. I have reason to believe that toots and farts come out of your rectum or your butthole and are smelly. I think that they stink and they're smelly, and your vagina farts too, but that's a queef. And penises don't fart. Maybe rare. It's probably rare. It's probably not.
Okay, I've heard enough. So, according to Reuters, that's a good enough video to make after his confession to absolve him of all of that. That means it was just all fake. He was talking about anti-farting. That's what we're going with now. It also shows you just how lost a lot of people are. He thinks that he can make a joke like that and it's hilarious and it's funny, and I don't think he realizes just how many people that's not funny to. And it's a sad show of the times. So this Yahoo wasn't Antifa at the state capitol, but there was a Yahoo who was Antifa or BLM at the state capitol, and we're going to talk about him now. Let me turn my screen on first. Thank you, Nick.
Community filmmaker Jade Sacker and left-wing activist John Sullivan. John, you filmed this moment on your phone. Can you describe what happened?
Yeah, so basically all the protesters kind of stormed to get into the chamber. We tried to get into the main entrance right when you walk down the hallway, but that being said, nobody was able to get in because there's 2 guards refusing to move. People there were not really wanting to hurt the police, so like they went down a different alleyway. They went to like the left of the main entrance of the chambers, and then took a right down the hallway that entered into that glass window scene that you see. There were about like 4 or 5 police officers right at the forefront, and I remember just coming up and seeing one of them like crying, saying they want to go home to their kids, and like
one of the police officers
were just yeah, one of the police officers. It was kind of like a scene out of, you know, because all he sees is like thousands of these protesters like kind of converge on them, yelling, saying, let us in here, we're not trying to hurt you. I ended up like talking to a few of them. I said, hey, we can like just make a path for you to get through. By no means am I there on the Trump side or the MAGA side, but I don't want to like see people get hurt unnecessarily, especially when like there should be a better way to go about it. So I allowed and told everybody to just let them through. They're willing to go peacefully and just put down their arms and walk through.
So how was this lady shot? I mean, she was trying to get through the door, and did you see who shot her?
Yeah. So I was getting to that part. So immediately after, they start breaking through the glass. Once they broke through the glass, they were using like flagpoles and whatever they had to kind of bash through the windows. On the right hand side, this lady was able to like make her way all the way through the window. All we see is these guns come out the doorways, just guns, and all you can see is their hand. That's it. You can see faces, and right when I saw that,
he's right too. You can't see the officer who does the shooting. All you see is this arm sticking out. It's very bizarre.
Yelling to people, I was like, guys, there's guns. You don't want to go through there. Like they were, you know, like they were going to shoot, like not just like hold it there and run away. They were literally going to shoot to kill. The second that she climbed through the window, she got shot like right in the neck area, fell backwards, and I just remember like the sense of shock and sorrow that somebody just died and did not need to die because she didn't have a weapon. She wasn't being violent in any way. We just let police officers through. We weren't trying to hurt anybody at that moment in time.
So
what I can tell,
just to be clear, was it a police officer who shot her?
I don't know if it was police or a private security guard. I couldn't see what they were wearing. I only can assume it would have been police based on everything that we've met up until that point.
So they were in an area that protesters were trying to get, or rioters were trying to get into? Is that what you're basing it on? I mean, was it an area that, you know, some of these rioters were already inside of, or was it an area they were trying to get into that the shot came from?
So it was an area that was completely blocked off. They had chairs up against the doorway, like tables, so people couldn't get in. So no one has been in there.
Okay. Obviously, it's very chaotic. I appreciate talking to you. We're obviously trying to, I know there's some other angles on this, and we're trying to learn more information about exactly what happened. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
All right, so let's learn a little bit more about what happened, just like Anderson says they're wanting to do. Oh, well, it turns out this Yahoo is been at several Antifa and BLM protests. He made posts that he was going to wear his little Trump hat that you see right here. Make sure everything's still good here. He dressed up like he was a Trump supporter, and he acted like a Trump supporter the entire time he was at the Capitol building. And they have video of him following him around because, funny enough, he was with a CNN NPR reporter. Her name is Jade Sacker, and she was embedded with this guy. And I want to play an interesting video for you guys. So he's the one who supposedly videoed the shooting, right? So he videoed the shooting, and she was with him. After the shooting, they're come running down the stairs, and this is what this CNN NPR reporter says to him directly after catching the shooting on film.
You were right, you did it.
Dude, I was trying to tell you. I couldn't say much.
You were right.
You just have to watch my chat. Is this not gonna be the best film you've ever made in your life? But it's all fake. My name.
They sound pretty damn excited about what happened, don't they? It's pretty disgusting, right? And she's a CNN NPR contributor.
My face is not on Instagram. I learned that shit already. I'm gonna wear a Trump hat. I'm gonna wear a Trump hat. I bought one today. I was wearing a Trump hat at the fucking at the Trump rally during the daytime, because I was like, nah, that shit ain't happening, bro. Yeah, I was. Oh yeah, I was just a journalist, but I use that all the time. Yeah, I'm just a journalist. I'm here recording.
Yeah, I told him I was just a journalist, but I use that all the time, you know?
I got my camera on my shoulder. Literally have my big ass camera on my shoulder right here.
And you can find him, Jaden X, all over Twitter. He uploaded every bit of his dumbness. Alright, so yeah, I just showed you that, how they cheered we did it after inciting the riot. And now, just in case because, you know, people are kind of up and down about what his political ideologies are. So I got a couple of quick clips just to listen to him in the past at the riots that were going on last year.
What's going on, everybody? My name's John Sullivan. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. Insurgents, USA. We fucking about to burn this shit down. Fuck this shit. Anybody out here seeing that white militia guy shoot three kids?
What is his name?
Yeah.
Say his name.
Fuck that guy. And I will tell you this shit is in Utah, a whole bunch of white militia came out there, formed against our group. We out there strapped. We out there ready to burn that shit down. We out there to defend our fucking self. We gotta defend ourselves now too. We do. Because power to the people.
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 Damn right. We gotta fucking rip Trump out of that office right over there. Fucking pull him out that shit.
Whoa, we gotta rip Trump out of the office? But I thought you were just there to cover the news, bro.
No, we ain't about fucking waiting until the next election. We about to go get that motherfucker. I ain't about that shit. Because you know what time it is? I want y'all to be after me. It's time.
It's time.
For a revolution.
For a revolution.
It's time.
It's time.
For a revolution.
For a revolution.
It's time.
It's time.
For a revolution.
For a revolution.
Thank you guys. I appreciate y'all. Be safe, people.
So, this man calling for a revolution, or you could say an insurrection, as he storms the Capitol building, inciting a riot, lead guy as they break into the Capitol building. And here he is calling for a revolution, but not he's pro-Trump, most certainly not. Now, I did a lot of looking into this guy. I watched a lot of his interviews, and this channel here, Joel Davis Media Network, I guess the guy's name is Joel Davis, but he does not buy into the narrative, right? He's not a fan of BLM. And he gets John Sullivan or Jaden X on his show, and they're asking questions back and forth, but at the end of them, he catches them with this great question, and I'd like to just get you to listen to what this man's response is, because it's not to me to paint him as badly as I can. It's up to me to paint as much broad as a picture, to see every part of the guy, you know what I mean? Not just all evil stuff about him, but he gets hit with an interesting question here and gives an interesting answer.
You know, we got somebody that asked the question, I think this towards you. I don't know if you want me to answer it or you want to answer it, but it's from Miss Tisha. She said, what about the BLM manifesto? What do you think?
On that?
Say that again, brother.
Could you educate me on that?
Okay, so I think...
So this man is out there screaming he wants a revolution. He's out there saying, I'm strapped. He's out there protesting with BLM. This man asked him, what are your thoughts on the BLM manifesto? And what does he say? Well, could you educate me on that?
This is what they're saying, because, well, let me make it clear to Miss Tisha. Miss Tisha, he's not a part of Black Lives Matter. He has his own movement called Insurgents USA. He's about trying to get equality for all people, white, black, blue, or brown. He was at one time associated as an associate, not with them, but associate with them until he started seeing all the chaos and he decided to do his own thing. So with the manifesto she's talking about, they are saying they just recently changed it. But before they changed it, they were promoting non-nuclear families. And basically, in the manifesto, and it's on the web archives, I got to send you the link, bro, to let you look at it. They were also saying basically that the only men that were important in this non-nuclear family village they were trying to creating was mostly men that were a part of the LGBTQ community, and basically beta men.
That's right. Right, guys, like I believe in America, I believe in the Constitution if it's upheld, right?
Yeah.
That's you think I'm anti-American or anti-constitution, whatever you want to have you, like maybe you think I'm communist or socialist or what have you.
Yeah, maybe I do.
Or a Marxist. I truly believe like.
And this isn't me, guys. This is their video cutting out.
I think it's important to understand that because what they're doing is creating divisions.
Yeah, he is. They are creating divisions. Now, you got one question from one of my...
So I thought that was an interesting answer from him because a lot of times they just tell you the truth. When he says what they're doing is they're creating divisions, that's exactly what he's doing. This is his webpage, Insurgents USA. Is it pro-Trump, guys? Do you think this is pro-Trump? Does it make sense that he was at the MAGA rally with a MAGA hat at the front of the line? Does that make sense? I cannot, I have seen so many MAGA burning flags. It's just, it fits right into the narrative, doesn't it? Oh, he's for sure MAGA. Unbelievable. Now, the other thing I want to talk about the Capitol building is that they were grossly understaffed. Grossly understaffed to a point where it really should perk the interest of any critical thinking person. First, I just want you to listen to this, well, forgive me, Fox News pundit, but I agree with him this time. And then we're going to do a little bit more exploration into the topic. Give me love, come on.
It's time for prime time.
Sorry, guys.
And security was a major question mark after rioters broke into the Capitol. I want to bring in Fox News contributor Tom Homan, former acting director of ICE. And one of the things Bill Hemmer and I kept saying yesterday and asking guests, we didn't have a lot of answers, which is how could this possibly happen on Capitol Hill? It's usually such a secure building. What do you think happened?
Well, it is, and I've been up there many times. I'm friends with a lot of those Capitol Police. I actually work out with one 3 times a week. He's a real good friend of mine. And his wife just retired from the Capitol Police. So I want to say one thing first. For the last 24 hours, I've seen a lot of stations, a lot of media attack the Capitol Police that they failed. Let me tell you something. The men and women that wore the uniform, they didn't fail. They're heroes, right? They're understaffed, and they stood on that front line. They got spit on, they got hit, they got assaulted, and they stood there. And at the end of the day, no congressmen were hurt. Not one congressperson was hurt. So they did their job and they did it well. They sheltered in place once the breach happened, which is exactly what they should have done. These are American heroes that put their lives on the line for people. To be frank, many people in that building don't even talk to them. They don't respect them because they want to defund the police. They've been attacking law enforcement all year, but they still stood on the line and protect them. So I just want to get that out first. But talking to my friends in the Capitol Police, and I've heard this back on ICE director, there's a failure in leadership of the Capitol Police. It goes back to even the Naval Yard. You remember the Naval Yard shooting? There was a live shooter on the Naval Yard. The special response team from the Capitol Police were the closest response, but the commander told them to stand down. If they would have responded, they could have saved some lives. But what happened yesterday was poor planning. They were understaffed. There was a lot of Capitol Police had the day off.
Here we go again with the poor planning, and it's incompetence. It's not incompetence. I'm done with the incompetence excuse. Done with it.
Do the intelligence analysis. They should have studied this event. They should have realized there's going to be thousands and thousands of people there. They should have been staffed better. They should have had the entrances staffed better. But when they have such a low staff, they can't cover the entrances, the perimeter, and the inside and protect all the congressmen. It was bad planning by the leadership. Leadership let them down. These men and women were set up to fail.
To your point about them being attacked, there are 60 members of the Capitol Hill Police who were injured, a few of them very seriously. Now, calls for a change.
Few of them very seriously. Interesting, because I haven't been able to track down a lot of information about what kind of injuries the Capitol Police sustained, but I did look into the, 4 deaths, and I know one of them was the lady who got shot, and then there were 2 heart attacks and a stroke. But they have no problem putting that out there. No problem at all. So, that's just the beginning, because guess what? What he's saying is that the Capitol Police were not prepared. Well, that could, be understandable if they didn't know that it was going to happen. And indeed, the Washington FBI, the Washington, D.C. division of the FBI said they had no prior reports that there could be any possible violence at the Capitol building leading up to that day, which we all know from common sense is just completely ridiculous. But even in the mainstream news, they're being contradicted. The FBI and the New York City Police Department passed information to the U.S. Capitol Police about the possibility of violence during the protest Wednesday against the counting of the Electoral College vote. And the FBI even visited more than a dozen extremists already under investigation to urge them not to travel to Washington, D.C., a senior law enforcement official says. So, the Capitol Police were told, they were warned by other police organizations about what was coming, and nothing was done. That really undercuts the narrative. It undercuts a couple of narratives. One, that the Capitol Police are inept and that it's the grunts' fault and it's not the people making the decisions. Undercuts that narrative. It also undercuts the narrative that Trump's speech incited insurrection, when clearly this article says that these actions were planned in months leading up to the event. And so when I'm watching CNN talk about how Trump's speech incited this, incited that, it really drives me bonkers, because even the law enforcement agencies knew what was coming. An FBI report warned of violence at the Capitol. Why wasn't the government prepared? Well, most people are saying because the government's inept. I'm tired of saying that. It wasn't prepared because what happened is what they wanted to happen. How the hell was this allowed to happen? That's what it says right there. It was allowed to happen. That's how. Where exactly that breakdown in intelligence took place, however, is unclear. Stephen D'Antonio, who heads the FBI's Washington field office, said Friday there was, quote, no indication anyone attending the rally planned to do anything other than exercise their First Amendment rights. But according to the Washington Post, an FBI office in Virginia did pass around a report Tuesday, one day before the attack, that warned of the following. As of 5 January 2021, FBI Norfolk received information indicating calls for violence in response to unlawful lockdowns to begin 6 January 2021 in Washington, D.C. An online thread discussed specific calls for violence to include stating, be ready to fight, Congress needs to hear glass breaking, doors being kicked in, and blood from their BLM and Pantifa slave soldiers being spilt. Get violent. Stop calling this a march or rally or a protest. Get there ready for war. We need our president or we die. Nothing else will achieve this goal. Okay, so whatever random person that the FBI got saying that in a social media post, it was forwarded to all the interagencies that it would have been needed to go to. And who's in charge of the Capitol Police? It's the Speaker of the House, right? Speaker of the House, right? Incitement timeline debunked as ex-Capitol Police Chief says Pelosi, McConnell's sergeants at arms, refused security measures. Really? Two days before Congress was set to formalize President-elect Joe Biden's victory, Capitol Police Stephen Sun was growing increasingly worried about the size of the pro-Trump crowds expected to stream into Washington in protest. To be on the safe side, Sun asked House and Senate security officials for permission to request that the D.C. National Guard be placed on standby in case he needed a quick backup. But, Sun said Sunday, they turned him down. And we're supposed to believe that this event at the Capitol building was organic. I pulled this up quickly just to remind people, this is what was going on during the BLM and Antifa protests. They literally took control of part of Seattle. There's dozens of murders and shootings and vehicle accidents and all kinds of things, buildings being burnt to the ground, businesses destroyed. Overall, I could go on and on. You guys have seen my videos. And they've done their best to paint this situation as best as they possibly could, even though it looked horrible. When you look at the Capitol Police or the Capitol building incident, it's the exact opposite. They had to add people who had heart attacks and strokes to the death count to make it look as bad as it was. The single shooting is on camera and looks completely unwarranted. They're doing everything they can to make this Capitol Police thing turn into something big. And what is it that they wanted? Well, I don't have the video for you right now, but the most salient video for me was after Congress came back together and voted for the EC, all of a sudden the tone was completely different. It was, and the one lady who was going, I can't remember the female congresswoman who was going to question the Arizona votes. She literally got out and said, after they all came back together, she literally came out and said that she's not going to question the voting situation that happened in Georgia. So, you know, the questions about all of those technical issues around the vote, well, she's not going to do that now because there was violence at Capitol Hill. Now, how the hell are those two things connected at all? So because a bunch of idiots rushed the Capitol building, you're going to make a judgment that you can't bring up technical issues that you had with the vote beforehand? That's the excuse you're going to use to flip? It's weak. Weak sauce. And I think that was a big part of it, but it wasn't all of it. Because this also had a lot to do with it. And a lot of people don't know which way this is going to go. 25,000 troops authorized in D.C. Is that because Trump put them there? Is that because Biden put them there? Is that because the MIC put them there or the bureaucracy? We don't know. All I can tell you right now is that there's concertina wire, tall chain link fences, and more troops authorized in D.C. than in Afghanistan and Iraq combined right now. And this is for the inauguration. Seems a bit odd. A little bit like overkill, right? And this is, I love the polls. I have to tell you guys, I love the polls. After Twitter banned Trump, Poland made plans to make censoring of social media accounts illegal. Following Trump's Twitter ban, Polish government wants to protect posts that do not break the nation's laws. Thank you, Poland, for showing people how you can actually do things legitimately and make sense. Closing things up here, I've heard a lot of people talking about the quantum blockchain and how there's going to be, well, I mean, I guess nobody's talking about quantum voting anymore. But now they're talking about the quantum internet and quantum cryptocurrency and how they're going to replace the SWIFT system and all of these things. Well, I've been looking into it, and I will say one thing. That just recently NASA achieves sustained long-distance quantum teleportation. They were able to teleport a qubit 27 miles. And it is it's progress. it's nowhere near the progress that we would think you would need to set up what people are talking about in a an internet 3.0. But it is progress, and so I wanted to show that to you. Do I think it has any effect on anything that's happening right now? Probably not. But this was released December 23, 2020, so this was right before the Ripple announcement happened, where XRP was brought. And finally, you guys, you got to tell me to do this. I'm sorry I didn't flip back. And finally, you guys, Microsoft is going through with this digital passport thing. I had hoped that it wasn't going to have a big push. I made a video when they included the vaccine cards inside of the packaging that was coming with the vaccines, and I said that I didn't like, because people were gonna start asking for that card. Like, I did an episode on Ticketmaster. It's like, if you put the vaccination card in the kit, then everyone knows that everyone who had a vax got it, and now they can ask for it. Well, it's even worse, because the stuff that we've been pushing back on Bill Gates with, and this is, everybody knows about this who's in the truther community, they are moving forward full steam ahead on getting CV vaccination digital passports, and they're saying a digital COVID vaccination passport is being jointly developed by a group of health and technology companies who anticipate that governments, airlines, and other firms will soon start asking people for proof that they have been inoculated. A coalition known as the Vaccination Credential Initiative, which includes Microsoft, Salesforce, and Oracle, as well as U.S. healthcare nonprofit Mayo Clinic, was announced on Thursday. VIC said it wants to develop technology that enables individuals to obtain an encrypted digital copy of their immunization credentials that can be stored in a digital wallet of their choice, such as Apple Wallet or Google Play. Yay! So, blockchain to prove we've been jabbed. Yeah, it's for benefits, Ben. Of course, it's for benefits. It always starts for benefits. Yeah, I'll tell you, it will become mandatory, but I'll tell you how they'll do it. They'll do it the same way that they did the lockdowns. Like, they never forced a single person to not leave their house like they did, like we saw in China, where they were literally putting bars over people's doors and not letting them move for whatever those videos were worth. I'm pretty convinced those videos were just all nonsense anyways, but they didn't have to do that here in the United States. What did they do? They just closed everything. They gave you no reason to go out unless you were going to go to get groceries or get essentials. If they were able to lock us down without ever locking us down, technically, they just had all of the businesses around us locked down. And the way that they're going to enforce this jab is going to be kind of the same thing. They're never going to say, you got to go get this jab, you have to have it right now. But what they're going to say is, you can't fly. You can't do this. You can't do that. And it will tighten and tighten and tighten and tighten until the noose is pretty tight around everyone's neck. And I've been telling everyone for a long time, when it comes to the jab and whether or not you're going to take it, you need to have a conversation with your loved ones about how far you're going to be willing to take that. Because what happens if you are threatened to lose your job? What happens if your income is put in danger by the forcing of the jab? It's a conversation everybody should have. What else do I got for you guys? So, that's a lot. I covered a lot. That's all I got for you guys right now. I'll take a couple of questions. Anybody got any questions? If you think about the qubit, are you the qubit? Could be, Ben. That's a little too deep for me. Bill Gates is the biggest owner of farmland in the U.S. now. So if he can't genocide people with the vax, he'll get you with the food. It's so disturbing to me how, I guess, once you get to a point in human growth where attaining money doesn't matter to you at all, then you get really, really messed up in the head. We covered Sullivan earlier. John's brother. Oh, I haven't actually looked into James Sullivan, so I'm gonna have to do some research into that. Is there something you can share with me, man? Point me in a direction. I can't believe that Bill Gates is the biggest owner of farmland now. How do we let this shit happen? Yeah, I don't know who James is. Or is that the guy's original name? Is that what you're saying? I mispronounced his name. No, his name's John Sullivan. So I guess he has a brother, James. So, and they're leading opposite teams. Well, isn't that a surprise? That's not a surprise to me at all. The whole thing, I mean, when you looked at the Capitol building situation, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to release the other video I made about the Capitol building situation, because there's a lot of things that I noticed in that just seemed very strange. And I mean strange on the, like, when you take into account all the strange things we already know about, it was uber strange. Yeah, it's never been yeah, it's fake. Never have I been so more pulled away from politics than I feel right now. I watch a channel called Quantum of Conscience, and the guy Matt that runs that channel, I mean, he's a genius, but he doesn't deal with the stuff that I deal with. He deals with like the bigger issues of consciousness and reality. And the more I cover this stuff, the more I feel like, man, it's just all theater and none of it matters. It's just none of it is real. The question is if none of it's real, then how do we find what's real again? And I mean, I guess that's why I have a YouTube channel. I'm hoping I can find that out, and I'm hoping people can help me find that out that subscribe to my channel. So, Proud Boy activist brother organizing. Yeah, when they censored Trump from Twitter, I disabled my Twitter account. So I haven't been on Twitter, but I guess like I can still go to the page without signing in. So I'll do that and go back there and look at them. I see some real OGs in the chat, from guys that I knew from back before my Facebook account was disabled. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for supporting me. I love y'all. I'm going to do probably another live stream this weekend, Saturday or Sunday. It'll be about kind of different topics, not so much like let's track through current events. A little bit more, let's talk about the way things are right now. And you guys, your input is much appreciated from me, so please provide it as much as you can. I saw somebody else in the chat said I need to get some sun. I'm going to get some sun, okay? The last one I did, the guy said I looked dead, so if I don't look dead now and I just look like I need to get some sun, I consider that an improvement. Okay, Kathleen, I will check that out. What's up, Erica? Yeah, Carrie, what's up? Thank you, Carrie, for sharing my videos. You guys, it's the best thing you can do for me because I'm literally in no algorithm. You're not going to see me in suggested videos or anything like that. They have made it sure that I will not grow. And we're riding on 2 strikes right now, so we're just going to go until the wheels fall off, I guess. I think I need to just fix my ring light, Erica. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't know how to do this kind of thing. I read somewhere if I put something dark behind me, I won't whitewash into the wall, but I don't know if it helped or not. I'll fix the lighting. I'll get with it. Yeah, right? I agree, Nick. Yeah, I don't tan. I'm a pretty fair-skinned individual. But any other questions for me, guys? Anything else you guys want to talk about? Yeah, it was the lockdowns that have me pale, for sure. And now we're going into the winter in Pennsylvania. Yay. Alright, guys. Well, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I love you guys. I'm going to sign off. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and love.